On 680 CJOB.
Hello, Jim Toth. How are you?
Greetings, salutations.
Nice Wednesday. Happens to be
little nice Wednesday here, midweek.
A nice Wednesday.
Nice little Wednesday, easy and a nice Wednesday. Not too cold, not too warm.
Nope. I like this temperature.
You know, winter's coming. Won't be long now.
There's nothing you can do about it. No. Trying to get that out of my mindset. I'm around a lot of winter haters. And I need to get that out of my. I got to get that out of my mind because listen, we got to deal with winter? It anyways. I have to. I have to like it.
Why?
I do like it. If you ask me, I do like it.
Why do you have to?
Because what am I going to be miserable the whole time? 5 months a year, I'll be miserable.
Well, no, but you don't have to like. You don't have to go. I'm not going to be miserable. I choose to be happy, but this sucks. It's minus 40.
Yeah, that's all part of the fun of living in Winnipeg.
There have been a couple winters here. Winter here isn't as bad as everybody thinks out west. But there have been a couple winters here where I've actually said, why? What purpose does it serve to be this freaking cold? Like when it's minus 50 with the wind chill?
Listen, I can bundle up for that. The problem that I've had in the past, and again, right now I love it. It's fantastic. That's my mindset going forward. Is there was a couple of years ago when it just snowed nonstop. Every day I had to shovel the driveway, and it was like I had to shovel it twice, and that got old. That was difficult.
Shoveling the driveway. I like shoveling. I like cutting the lawn.
You like shoveling?
Yeah, but I grew up in southern Alberta where the Chinook would come in, as you know. Like it literally could be minus 20 and snowing, and within 4 like you leave in the morning, and then by noon it's plus 3 and sunny out, and everything is melting and it's a mess. And a buddy of mine who went to the U of A after high school said he actually likes the constant winter better than the up and down. And I was like, really? You don't like it when it warms up? He's like, no, winter comes, it's cold, it stays, and then you get used to it. You never have to change your coat. You never have to wonder if I'm going to get dirty. You never have to like readjust your plans for the day because at one point it's snowing in minus 12 and the next minute it's 3 above.
That's a hot take because when I lived in Calgary and a Chinook would blow in, I loved it because I didn't own a vehicle. Right. So I took the bus or I walked everywhere.
Yeah.
And so going from when it gets bitterly cold for like it does here, you'll have a week or a week and a half when it's minus 30 every single day, which happens in Calgary all the time.
Yeah.
And then you'd get a nice wind blow in and it would warm up. And all of a sudden I could, I'd be walking around in a sweater.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I loved it.
Yeah.
And now I'm here in Winnipeg and I'm like, I could, usually around into January,
you get the headaches?
I could use a Chinook.
Because the word is like a Chinook, you get headaches.
No, I didn't get headaches.
Complain about migraines. I never got those.
There was a while, and this is a serious note here in all seriousness, there was a while where Lethbridge, I think in the late 70s, was the suicide capital of Canada or the world.
Yeah.
And it was attributed to the wind. Much like if you go to Vancouver and are in cloudy, rainy weather for 9 days straight, it affects you in a negative way. And the wind that would come in to Lethbridge was one of the reasons that people would start paying more attention to their mental health and stuff. Because if it's constant wind, whether it's warm or cold, it gets...
Yeah, the WHL team, the Lethbridge Hurricanes, is not named the Lethbridge Hurricanes by accident. And one of the things I would always cover when I was even when I was in Calgary or when I was in Drayton Valley during my time in Alberta, when I was doing time in Alberta. No, I wasn't. I actually like Alberta a lot. But was always talking about, trucks blowing over.
Yeah, that would happen all the time.
Was it Crow's Nest Pass? Yeah, trucks blown over. It was very common.
Yeah, the wind would literally, how many holiday trailers would be going to the Crow's Nest Pass or the Kootenays in the BC, and then like the trailer, like you would hit a gap in the mountains, the Rocky Mountain, and the wind would literally take your trailer off and drag a vehicle.
Yeah.
People think I'm not making this up.
No, you're not. No, absolutely.
That's why I'm happy to be here in the cold winters.
We don't have to be able to deal with. Listen, that's the thing about everywhere, man. Everywhere is bad in its own way, and you have to find your way to live through it.
What got me through is the people. I moved here on January 3rd. It was minus 48. I stayed at a Super 8 on Pembina, and they said, "We'll take your keys." And I'm like, "For what?" And they go, "We go out and start your vehicle at 3 a.m." Because that's how cold it was. And I was like, "What?" In 2005, the hotel was part of their service. But I got to be honest, the people, it's a great city, great people.
This is a great city. Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line. Wins a VIP car wash from my good friends at Wash Method, 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program, which is coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio for gourmet pizza and pasta. Bring the team to Boston Pizza. So the Winnipeg Jets were out on the practice ice in Philadelphia. at the rink that has changed names. It's different now. Did you know this?
It's not the Wells Fargo?
No, it's not. Just to confuse Cameron Poitras while he's trying to do his morning sports reports. No, it's the Xfinity Mobile Arena now.
Xfinity?
Yeah. So, I'm fairly certain of that. But the Jets were out there. They were practicing today. And so here's the list. Yeah, Xfinity Mobile Arena, formerly known as the Wells Fargo Center. Here's the list. Here was the lines from today's practice. So no Kyle Connor or Gustav Nyquist at Jets practice. So I'm going to explain. We'll go through the lines, and then I will explain to you why I just believe this is maintenance. And we're waiting to hear word from the team and what's going on, and then we'll get to some of your guys' text messages. 204-780-6868. So Kyle Connor and Gustav Nyquist are not at Jets practice. Cale Clegg is playing forward on the fourth line as Hayden Fleury and Cole Koepke were participating in practice. Both they're part of the line rushes. They both, respectively, were blocking shots. Fleury against the Kings and Koepke against the Islanders. But it looks like that both of them are going to be able to get back to lineup tomorrow. So on the top line was Pearson, Scheifele, and Velarde. Iafallo, Taves, and Chibrikov on the second line. Niederreiter, Nemesnikov, and Parker Ford. Koepke, Barron, and Clegg on the fourth line. And then let's talk about the forward line group there first with no Gustav Nyquist and Kyle Connor. Now, usually the case is, and we'll hear more from Scott or Neil when he speaks, and when we have the team sort of confirm this information. Usually when you have somebody from the fourth line, like Tanner Pearson, moved up to the first line, it's usually like Pearson with Scheifele and Velarde. It's usually an indication it's just a maintenance day or something happened. The reason why. So I don't think that.
And you don't want to disturb the other lines, so you
correct.
Just take a fourth liner, put them up there for practice.
That's right. So I don't think that there's anything to be concerned about with Kyle Connor. Also the same with Gustav Nyquist. Do you think that's the same situation with Ford moving up onto the third line?
Yes. Yeah. I just think that they're trying to keep lines. Now we'll hear more, hopefully shortly.
Yeah.
We'll get more when Paul Edmonds joins us live from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
But I just think these are probably maintenance days or banged and bruised and probably whatever it is best to stay off it.
Yeah.
For a day.
Here's the defense. Defense comes out. Morrissey, DeMello, Stanley, and Pionk, and then Fleury and Schenn.
What do you make of this? Like in the past, when Stanley has been asked to do more, things got worse.
I think that he's played real well, particularly the last two games.
I think so too.
And Fleury, what do you think about the way that Fleury has played over the two games that he has played so far?
Well, I
think he's played up to the level of Logan Stanley.
Here's what I think. I think Stanley and Pionk, and Stanley the last two games has played well enough to leave it alone. There wasn't a lot I did not like about their game against Long Island. And Fleury left against the Kings. So, and then Fleury comes back in and Schenn. But I think it's twofold. I think, look, the top four pairing in the last game were pretty good. Mm-hmm. And then also, I think Fleury struggled in the first game. And then I also don't like the Stanley Schenn pairing. And the first game that they played together, they played like 10 minutes maybe. And so I think that this is threefold. I think they played well enough against the Islanders to stay together. I don't think the pairing looked good in the first game against Dallas. And then I think Fleury will be fine.
Yeah.
But I just, like, some guys have good starts and some guys have weaker starts. And I thought he wasn't as solid and definitive with his game until the Kings game when he settled in.
Yeah, I think this has as much to do with Stanley and Schenn not being a good pairing.
I think Fleury can move the puck for Schenn. I think he got a little more speed. He skates better. And I think the same of Stanley Pionk. You have one guy that does some, like, to me, Fleury and Pionk kind of skate the same, and Schenn and Stanley kind of skate the same. And it's not always the best to pair those up. Correct.
And the one time that those guys did play together, I mean, they didn't play much because the game was just moving so fast against the Dallas Stars. And then Hellebuck and Comrie. So we'll wait and see what happens. 204-780-6860. We're waiting some more word. And again, as you mentioned, Paul Edmonds is going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. This texter, 68. Yeah, we've been getting a lot of these texts, and I maybe it's time that we address it. Chris Miller says Ehlers has been invisible in Carolina so far. Well, of course, I mean, he's been there for only 3 games. He hasn't been able to register a point. The first 2 games, he was over 19 and a half minutes. The first game, he was 19 and a half minutes, almost played 20 minutes in the second game against Philadelphia. And then he played just north of 15 minutes against the San Jose Sharks in that 5-1 win. Again, it's not fair, I think, for myself, at least, to pass judgment on Nikolai Ehlers and what his season is going to look like. I mean, he hasn't been able to register a point. I still believe that Nikolai Ehlers is Nikolai Ehlers. And I don't think just because he went to Carolina, all of a sudden he was going to become the player that a lot of, I would say a section of Jets fans, the very analytical leaning ones, I wouldn't even say leaning, they clutch and hold on to analytics. I believe Nick Ehlers is Nick Ehlers, and I think he's going to be a 60, 65, 70-point player with the Carolina Hurricanes. He's going to get about 25 goals, and he's best utilized when he's playing about 16 and a half minutes a night. I don't think Nick Ehlers plays to his best when he's playing 20 minutes. I don't think that there is... Yeah,
I agree with that.
There has been no evidence that the more minutes that Nick Ehlers plays, the more he's able to produce. I think he does more with less. And we'll see what happens. It's 3 games. But
I think also health-wise.
My opinion on Ehlers hasn't changed. But he's a second line. He's a fantastic second-line player.
Yeah, I'm not going to harp on him. It's 3 games in, and we do this with the Jets players that are new, like Koepke and Jonathan Taves and all that. It takes a while to get into a new system and do that. But he has no points in his first 3 games, and he's -1. -1, I know plus-minus is what it is.
Yeah.
And you can look at that, but he played a lot until the 3rd game, then he didn't. And I think that's Rod Brind'Amour, right? Like Rod Brind'Amour's like, if you're not going to do anything or do much, and I look, I haven't seen the game, so I can't even say he didn't do much.
Yeah,
I don't know how he played.
Exactly.
He might have played well and just not registered a point.
I'm reading a stat line.
But Svechnikov hasn't had a good start either, and I think those are the guys that they've taken away from Aho. But those two have had chemistry before and put up some good points. I wonder how long this goes and where they're at. So I can't comment on it until, and I always like to give somebody 5 to 10 games. But I mean, next time I see him play, we'll talk about it. But I know a lot of Jets fans are watching this and going, "Oh, he doesn't have any points in 3 games." But let me ask you this: if he was here, do you think he'd have a point by now?
Might not.
Yeah, I mean, he's gone 3-4 games without points before. It's not. Well, I think he's a notorious slow starter.
Yeah,
I don't
think if Nikolai Ehlers was playing his first 3 games in Winnipeg and didn't register a point, I don't think anybody would be concerned.
No.
I don't think so. 204-780-6868, 204-780-6868. Hey, Jim, the Montreal Canadiens have re-upped 2 members of their brass, General Manager Kent Hughes, as well as Jeff Gorton, Vice President of Hockey Operations. Good. I'll give you my thoughts when I come back. When we come back, it might surprise you. It might surprise you, Jim Toth, what I think about this.
Nickelback Wednesday.
On the other side.
At noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Well, the Montreal Canadiens announced yesterday that the team has agreed to multi-year contract extensions with General Manager Kent Hughes and Executive Vice President of Hockey Ops, Jeff Gorton. Gorton also now the new President of Hockey Ops, not Vice President. My opinion here might surprise you, Jim Toth. If you listen to this show, the Habs are certainly not my favorite team. And while I don't think the Habs are there yet, and I do not think that they're a playoff team this year, I do believe that the organization has done a very admirable job under Gorton and Hughes. The players that they've picked and have developed so far really look like they're panning out. They have a fantastic collection of young players. And moving beyond my feelings about the Habs personally, they've done exceptionally, and they do both deserve the long-term extensions.
And to be fair, your dispassion for the Habs is how everybody thinks every time. Like last year, like, oh, they're world beaters, or this, or they're not. Yeah. I mean, they had that run to the Stanley Cup during the bubble that I don't know. I've never met a team that went to the Stanley Cup final that didn't deserve it. Like they earned it. I hate saying that, but they got pounded by Tampa Bay like they should have.
Yeah.
But I do believe they're warranted contracts, and the management has done a good job there.
We'll be right back. Paul Edmonds with us, and we have an update on Kyle Connor and Gustav Nyquist. We'll give it to you when we return.
With Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Hey, welcome to the show. 204-780-6868. Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line and win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method. 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program, which is coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio for gourmet pizza and pasta. Bring the team to Boston Pizza. So we have an update on Kyle Connor and Gustav Nyquist, who were not on the ice at practice today. And we got a text message from Kelly Moore, who said from Scott Arniel, head coach of the Winnipeg Jets, told friend of the program, Ken Wiebe, who was there in Philadelphia covering for the Free Press. Ken Wiebe Arniel told Wiebe off mic that Kyle Connor and Gus Nyquist are on maintenance days today, which was our assumption based on how the lines looked. But definitely something to keep an eye on.
He also told Ken Wiebe to clean it up, clean your act up, off mic.
Yes.
Whenever I hear off mic, I think of stuff like that. Hey, get it together. Clean it up. Clean it up.
Come on. And also just Ken Wiebe just elaborated a little bit more just a minute ago on X. Also says that Fleury and Koepke remain day-to-day as they work their way back from lower body injuries. So the fact that they were in regular line rushes suggests that they are close, but also it's a possibility we might see, say Parker Ford find his way into the lineup, and Cale Clegg as well. So we'll definitely keep, or Colin Miller, I should say, over Cale Clegg. But let's get to Paul Edmonds, Jets radio play-by-play voice. He's down in Philadelphia. Hey, Paul, how are you?
I'm good, Jimmy. You made me laugh with that Kenny clean it up business.
Clean it up, Kenny. Hey, before you go, clean it up. Get it together.
Yeah. Well, is Kenny really a friend of the program, or is he just an opportunist?
It's
a very fair statement, Paul.
Last year, he earned the moniker, and I think we should get T-shirts, Watcher of the Jets Sky, because he would often, when he appeared on here, would be checking to see if the sky was falling.
Okay.
So you mention that to him, and he'll have that. And then you say, clean it up, Kenny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Paul.
I was just going to say it was an interesting morning today. You didn't have Kyle Connor, as you mentioned, and Gus Nyquist, so a lot of speculation on what was going on, but we were, as was reported by Kelly through Kenny, that it was just maintenance, and that's what everybody presumed, but it was also good to see that you had Hayden Fleury and Cole Koepke back on the ice and taking just regular line rushes and going through the flow drills. So there'll be some questions as to who's going to be in the lineup tomorrow, because it appears like everybody would be available unless we are not being told something that they're trying to keep secret until tomorrow when they have to actually reveal what is going on. So we're not looking for the sky falling here at all. It just looks like it's just status quo. And with those two guys coming back, which is great because of the way certainly Hayden Fleury has played to start the year. And then, of course, the way that Cole Koepke has to manage to get himself onto that fourth line and be a really good complement to the other two guys in Tanner Pearson and Morgan Barron has been a real boon for the Winnipeg Jets. Only 3 games in, I understand that, but nonetheless, he's a big part of the team. I mean, he leads the team in hits, and he can skate, and we've seen that on display right from training camp and then into the preseason games, and now into certainly the games that he's played, which would be 2 1/3 over the course of the regular season.
What do you make of the defensive pairings with Logan Stanley, with Pionk, and the line rushes today?
Interesting, because that was the pairing that was out against the New York Islanders on Monday, and you wonder, they experimented with it, certainly during the preseason, Cameron, and they went with it, that pairing between Pionk and Stanley in the game on Monday against Long Island, or against the Islanders on Long Island, and it was fine. Logan Stanley ended up being the fourth guy into a rush and scoring a goal. Now, it's probably one that Ilya Sorokin would like to have back, but nonetheless, he was there, the puck was there, and he got the shot away onto the net, and there's never a bad shot when it's on the net. So what I make of the pairings is, if it's not broken, then don't fix it, and unless Hayden Fleury comes back, for sure, then you're probably going to leave it there. For some reason, even if Hayden Fleury came back, the way they were working him into the lineup today was with Luke Schenn, which makes sense too, because you've got a left-right shot, and you do, of course, with Stanley and with Pionk as well. So there seems to be a reason as to why they like Neil Pionk with certainly Logan Stanley. And I think it's to balance things out. When you look at who skates and who's physical on the pairings, that's why you have those pairings. And you've got certainly Luke Schenn that's physical, can move the puck, but you've got Hayden Fleury. If he stays with Luke Schenn on that third pairing, and we'll categorize it as the third pairing, he can get up the ice and move the puck. You've got Logan Stanley that can be a guy that stays back and be physical, and Neil Pionk gets up the ice and can certainly move the puck. And same with Dylan DeMello being a little more physical, and Josh Morrissey being the guy that handles the puck. So it's a real good balance if you're looking for that type of balance, which most coaches are doing at any level of high-level hockey, to make sure that you've got one guy that can move the puck and one guy that can stay at home. Because really in this day and age where you're coming up as a five-man unit, but specifically having that weak side D or one of your D join the rush, you need to have somebody that's reliable back there in case you get caught on an odd man situation going back the other way.
So for the first three games, I was a little surprised to see, as well as he played, Eric Comrie get a start. I just thought it would be maybe by game 5 or 6 or maybe even game 4 tonight or tomorrow night in Philadelphia, Paul. With the Olympics, do you think that the team has a different approach with how often Connor Hellebuyck plays, or do you think this was just a natural fit for him to get a game in Long Island? Comrie,
well, first off, I was with you. I was surprised that he got a start this early, not because of anything that he didn't do. He had a really good camp and certainly preseason. Probably needed to be rewarded even last year with an earlier start. I actually didn't have him projected to make a start until 7 games in or 8 games in, when it was going to be the back end of the back-to-back against Calgary coming up later this month. So for me, I thought it was going to be 7 straight starts for Connor Hellebuyck. But there has been a move with this group here the last couple of years to cut some of the workload off of Connor Hellebuyck and get him more toward that 60-game marker or 59, which means that your backup goaltender has to make more starts. So it made sense for Eric Comrie to get in now if you're going to be trying to work him into finding more games than he had in the last couple of years. So I don't know that it has much to do with the Olympics, because I think the Winnipeg Jets are focused on what they're doing and how their number one goaltender is being used and the workload that he's being thrust into. And if you can shave some of that off and get into the playoffs, then maybe he's more fresh. So it might have something to do, I guess, in the background of him being ready to go for Team USA. But I think first and foremost for Scott Arniel and the rest of the coaching staff, and certainly for Wade Flaherty, it's making sure the number one guy is as useful as possible to them, first and foremost to the Winnipeg Jets, and also making sure that you get your backup in, who's been a very reliable soldier and a backup goaltender in the last couple of years, so that you can utilize him more in case there is a situation that you haven't run into before with Connor Hellebuyck. So a little bit of A, a little bit of B, and maybe some C thrown in there, Jim.
You think the secondary scoring can keep this up?
Well, it's going to have to, because I think what that does is it softens things up for the number one line in order for them to do what they can do. And this is the way this team has been built. The secondary scoring has to contribute. It has to provide some offense, and they've got the players here to do it. So, I mean, Nino Niederreiter is a perennial 20-goal scorer. He needs to score goals and provide points, and he did that with a 2-point effort on Monday. I mean, the fourth line has been excellent. Morgan Barron, I mean, who would have thought he has 4 points, 2 goals, and 4 points in 3 games and played the way he has? Certainly, I think you like the way that the second line has started to go, and with each passing shift, we're seeing more and more of Jonathan Toews take over the game, or at least take over the shift when he's in the game. I'm sure they'd like to see a little more from the third line overall and get Vladislav Nemestikov moving. But overall, to be succinct and answering your question, yes, there has to be secondary scoring for this team. Remember a few years ago under Rick Bowness, they wanted more scoring from the back end. That needs to contribute as well. Part of the reason why they maybe have the pairings as well the way they do, so that they can chip in with some more offense. But I think that any time that some opposition coach is looking with that line going over, and you're maybe more worried about the second or third line being damaged or providing damage to you, then that maybe opens up the opportunity for your top line to have an easier night, or certainly go against easier players if you're line matching or you can't line match when you're in the opposing building.
What did you get up to on the off day?
I did have a Philly cheesesteak yesterday. Yeah, it was really good. We went out for dinner to an Italian place, and it was rather quiet. Did a little bit of work, and then I've really been enjoying watching some hockey these nights, but also really keeping an eye on to the baseball that's been going on. And boy, I think that Milwaukee's in trouble, and they need to have a bounce back, certainly in Los Angeles. And we'll be interested to see what the Blue Jays can do in Seattle as that series shifts to the West Coast as well.
Philadelphia, what do you make of this team? I mean, only a couple of games in, as you've mentioned here, but what do you think? What threats do they pose the Winnipeg Jets tomorrow night?
Well, they are going to play hard. I mean, anytime that you have Travis Konecny as your ultimate leader and the way he plays, and playing for a guy that played that way now as the head coach in Rick Tocchet, the Philadelphia Flyers are going to gain some of their reputation back as being a very difficult team to play against. Now, the Jets haven't always had a lot of success in this building here. But what do I make of this team? Specifically, this is not necessarily a rebuild for the Flyers, but they've moved some veterans out, and they've made a lot of room for some of these young guys to come in and start to flourish. So have they tore it down to the studs? No. Have they started to retool with a youth movement? That's exactly what's going on here. So there's going to be some tough nights for this group for sure. But I will say that if you don't come prepared to play against them, they are going to sneak up on you on some nights, because I think that Rick Tocchet will get them to a level of the way they're going to play consistently until they make another jump in that plateau in their progression as being a much better team, certainly in the Metro Division, than they have been the last few years. So Winnipeg will have their hands full with this Philadelphia Flyers team tomorrow. And I'm really interested to see what a guy like Trevor Zegras does now with a change of scenery. Interesting for me, Ryan Getzlaf is the mentor for Trevor Zegras, and he was doing a really good job. And Trevor Zegras was projecting rather nicely in Anaheim. And then, of course, Getzlaf retires, and Trevor Zegras has a downturn for a couple of years, and they move him out the door. So now let's just see with a new city, a new team, a new coach, how Trevor Zegras can progress again in his career as a professional. So I'm looking forward to seeing this game and what Philadelphia can provide tomorrow. And Winnipeg will be ready for the challenge. There's no doubt they don't want anybody sneaking up on them.
One final one for you, Paul. You mentioned Konecny, and I really like him as a player, but it's interesting how Olympics bring out these storylines. They're going to go at each other or play against each other tomorrow night, but I think Konecny could be one of the guys left off the roster for the Olympics, and I think Mark Scheifele is one of the guys that could be put on it, and I wonder how that'll sort of go. Nothing to affect tomorrow night's game, but these are the storylines that going forward I'm kind of looking at when you're looking at a game like tomorrow.
Yeah, these are the things that are orbiting in the background, right? Like, not only are you playing your trade for your team, and you're trying to do the best for your team, your city, and in this case the province or the state if it's Travis Konecny, but you're also playing for something that might happen down the road in February, because there's an old saying, you never know who's watching, right? And you have to believe that players like Konecny, like Scheifele, are not necessarily under the microscope, but there are the higher level people that are running that Team Canada operation that are always watching and what these players are doing and where they maybe slot in and who they can play with if you're slotting them in. And maybe Mark Scheifele isn't necessarily your top line center, but can you put him on a third line right wing? And if you think that that's where he's maybe going to fit on your roster for Team Canada at the Olympics, who's he going to play with? So there's all sorts of other things that are going on behind the scenes that if you just play the way you need to play to help your team, those other things will look after themselves as well. But let the speculation begin as to who's going to be on the team and who's going to be off it.
Paul Edmonds, radio play-by-play voice here on 680 CJOB for the Winnipeg Jets, joining us live from Philadelphia. Paul, thanks so much. You take care, okay?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate the time, guys. Anytime.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Paul.
204-780-6868. Call the Boston Pizza Jets at noon hotline. Open 24/7, 204-780-6800. Boston Pizza, coming for lunch every weekday to Boston Pizza. Get a delicious main side and ice cold drink for only $15 only at BP. On the other side, hey, we got to give away this VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method. And Brady Tkachuk, he's looking for a second opinion. What are the Ottawa Senators going to do?
To avoid surgery.
We'll be right back.
Toth on 680 CJOB.
Miss your chance. Get your thoughts on the show today. Call the Boston Pizza Jets at noon hotline. Open 24/7, 204-780-6800. Boston Pizza, coming for lunch every weekday to Boston Pizza. Get a delicious main side and ice cold drink for only $15 only at BP. Or the VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method is going to this VIP text. This one comes from Coach D. Self-proclaimed Coach D. I'm assuming he's a coach to some extent.
Coach, well, we're all coaches.
His name is also Dwight. But Dwight says, good afternoon. Agree to disagree on Stanley. We need him on our roster over the long 82-game season. When the smoke clears, he's definitely your seventh defenseman in this group, but he makes too many mistakes. But he does provide the size required over the course of a long, grueling season. In my opinion, he's playing with Pionk while Sandberg is recovering. When the smoke clears, it's Morrissey, DeMello, Sandberg, Pionk, Fleury, who's outstanding in last year's playoffs, and then Shen or Miller. Big Stan is a 7 or 8 when the dance begins next spring. Well, thanks. Sound from Coach D. He says, great show. Love listening. Thanks for that, Dwight.
The dance began, and he was a 5'6". So even with Sandberg here, he's probably a 6'7". Look, he's played well the last 2 games. He literally saved that LA game with 3 block shots and a block pass. And then he looked good against the New York Islanders as well. When I say look good, I don't top 4 look good. I mean, he did okay, but I disagree. I think that they like Shen Stanley. I don't think I don't like them as a pairing, but I think that one of those 2 guys are going to be in the lineup. And even if Shen is healthy for 82 games, I don't think he plays 82 games at his age. I think he plays 65 to 70. And I think as they rack up points, that Stanley has his role. But are there still, again, I don't want to start this debate for a whole season, but are there still people out there?
Ready because it's going to happen.
Are there still people out there that after the first 3 games of this season that believe he does not belong in the National Hockey League, Logan Stanley?
Yeah.
Stop thinking he's Zdeno Chara. And just because he's a first-round pick, he's a top 4 player. But you have to be out of your mind if you don't think he has a role in the National Hockey League, if not here, somewhere else.
Ottawa Senators say that injured captain Brady Tkachuk will miss at least 4 weeks. The captain is going now for a second opinion, according to reports. Senators owner Michael Andlauer says the team will know in the next 24 hours if he needs surgery.
And then Bruce Garriak, the great reporter from Porters of Prairie, Manitoba, has said that they're getting that second opinion, but it'll be longer than 4 weeks.
Yeah.
That's why they're getting the second opinion. So, I mean, there has been some major injuries to start this season. And I know there's always injuries in the National Hockey League, but can you remember a time where the names that we could rattle off that are out for months?
Well, Dmitry Kulikov for the Panthers, they're already banged up, severely banged up Panthers. He's out for 5 months now.
Like both Tkachuk brothers over a month. I mean, Perfetti's week to week, but I'm hearing it's longer.
Yeah.
Lowry's out 25 games minimum, or maybe. It's just around the league, right? There's a lot of players that are hurt and out for a long period of time.
Thanks very much to Braden Nowasco for producing the show. Jim Toth's going to take you all the way till 2
Braden.
o'clock.
Good luck tonight.
Hey, Jets Flyers tomorrow. Pregame at 5. Pregame at 4. Puck drop at 6 here on 680 CJOB.
I was just going to tell Braden that if something could help the Jays, it's probably Creed.
That is the solution. You're right.
I mean, in the town of Seattle, there's great bands. There's so many.
They hate
Pearl
Creed.
Jam, go on and on.
I wish we could keep going, but we got to go see it.
But if they play Creed tonight, they got a shot.